Welcome back to Louisiana Newsmaker. One of the most remarkable stories in Louisiana politics is that of John Gegenheimer. It was 6 terms ago that he was first elected clerk of Jefferson Parish, and he has done a fascinating job making the transition from what was a quill pen office with thousands and hundreds of thousands of documents to a computerized office where things are much better organized and modern. How are you? It's great to see you.
Fine, Alan.
I'm
It's
so
always
pleased
good
that
to be here.
you agreed to come on Louisiana Newsmaker. Really glad to see you. And of course, you were one of the first Republicans to run for public office in Jefferson Parish and win. Today, almost every elected official in Jefferson is a Republican. But back when you did it, it was big news.
Yep, those were the old days when it wasn't really advantageous, I guess, to have an R behind your name, even in Jefferson Parish. And I remember when I ran that election in 1987, I was the first Republican non-judicial candidate to be elected. People forget, but the first Republican elected official in the parish was Judge Robert Burns, who ran the bench in the 24th Judicial District Court as a Republican. And
then you came along, and at that time, the clerk's office was really a muddled place. There was scandal. It really needed to be straightened up and cleaned up, and you and your team did a great job.
Yes, I'm glad you said I and my team, because you can't do it without a lot of dedicated people helping you. And we do have a really fine bunch of employees whom we've assembled over the years, and they've done a bang-up job.
Tell us a little bit about how you made the transition from the office that was to the office that is today.
Well, you do things like that incrementally. Nothing happens overnight in government, as you well know. We simply sat down and sketched out a strategic plan and stuck with it. The plan was to, over a period of time, wean ourselves from paper. That paper is a culture, really, and you have to overcome that
well, of course, it was a culture of 100 or 200 years.
Yes.
Jefferson Parish was formed in 1825. They'd been collecting paper for a long time.
A lot of paper. Yes, as a matter of fact, in order to make that transition over the years, we have imaged about 46 million pages.
My goodness.
And that's about 14 million documents. We're still back imaging. We're going to go all the way back to 1825, the inception of the parish.
Isn't that fantastic?
And it's taken 20-some-odd years to do it, but nothing, as I always say, nothing worthwhile is easy. It's every time that there's a progress to be made, you have to understand that you're going to do it in small steps over a period of time. That's the way we've done it.
And did you have any trouble getting? You somehow got the money to fund the transition from quill pens to computers, and now you have a tremendous surplus.
Yes, the funding is the problem, and that's why you have, one of the reasons why you have to go so slowly. If you had tax revenues dedicated to that, there wouldn't be any problem. You could spend the money. It's millions of dollars in research and development
and for equipment, I would think.
Yes. People don't realize that.
And probably also for training people to use the new equipment.
Training, yes.
Because the computers change and evolve every 3 or 4 years, and a new system comes in.
That's absolutely right. Training is ongoing, and it's expensive, very expensive. You mentioned the surplus. I remember after Katrina, when Katrina hit, commerce virtually stopped in the parish. That's the whole metro area, really. But even in Jefferson Parish, commerce came to a screeching halt for 7 weeks. And we had no revenues coming in because no business was being transacted.
And of course, your budget comes from fees that you collect.
Yes, we managed to build up a fund balance of $7 million, which we had back then, and in 7 weeks that fund balance dwindled from $7 million down to $2 million. So you can see how quickly you can go through that when there is no income coming in. And thankfully, the parish got back up and running thanks to an excellent reentry program that the parish had initiated to get businesses back in and started up very quickly so that commerce could resume.
When the Yenny building was hit by Katrina, were your records destroyed? Did you get water in your offices?
No, we're on the 6th floor in the Yenny building, although the roof did leak quite a bit. However, we had we have duplicate hard drives for our computer system, and that was covered with visqueen and secured, so there was no damage to it.
It's been a remarkable era. You really are, your tenure over 6 terms really is an era. Where do we go from here? Are you thinking about running again? Your
yes,
term is up next 2012? Well, no, the election would be this year.
Is October of this year. Yes, I'll run again. There are other things that we need to accomplish and that we are really excited about. Continued upgrading of our computer system, imaging even more records, downsizing the office even further. When we started, we reduced the office from 319 employees to 259 employees by attrition, retirement, and things. We don't just fire people just to get numbers down. We do it by attrition. We want to continue to downsize. I'd like to get it down to about maybe 230 or so. And we can do that as mechanization and continued advances in computer technology take hold. You can do with fewer people because you make each person more productive. So we'll be able to make government leaner and meaner. I've always been under the opinion that government is always too big, and we need to downsize it.
Well, of course, that's the way government changes. By reform is finding ways to reduce the number of people who are on the payroll. If my memory is correct, you haven't had any opposition your last 4 terms.
Thankfully, yes, and I feel humbled by that, I guess, and very fortunate. And you can't expect not to get opposition. You always have to assume that you'll get it. And it's not a bad thing, you know, give people a choice.
Makes you run.
That's right, and that's what it's all about.
Well, yours is a remarkable story. We really appreciate your coming on Louisiana Newsmaker. I hope you'll come back when we can talk about your 7th term.
Okay, well, I'd look forward to that, and you're very nice to have me, and I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Okay.
That's John Gegenheimer. He's the clerk of court for Jefferson Parish. He has done an incredible job over the last 24 years. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.